I've mentioned before that Microsoft 365 is a suite of product and services that together make up Microsoft 365. Now the first one of those services to inspire everything that we've got today in the Microsoft 365 cloud was Exchange, the email service from Microsoft. Exchange has been available on an on-prem product for many years, and I've been working with this product with quite some time, and I've seen the evolution. On-prem of this great email solution, and then eventually it was the first product to go to the cloud for Microsoft. From that product, Microsoft 365 was built around it. And so it is probably one of the most mature, evolved products in Microsoft 365. It has many functionalities, products and configuration options. So let's go and take a look at Exchange Online, the version that is now included in Microsoft 365. So I need to go into the Exchange Admin Center in order to go manage the Exchange Online services. So I'm going to click on the Exchange Admin Center from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and it opens up. Now here I am in this tool that has many options, and I won't even try to go through all of those options in the short time that we have to demonstrate to you. Exchange Online as part of Microsoft 365. Instead, I'll go through some of the most relevant pieces of configuration and also highlight some interesting aspects of Exchange Online. So first of all, I want to just show you here that mailboxes groups are available right under recipients, so those are linked to your users and groups that we created in Microsoft 365, except some additional configuration options. So if I click on mailboxes, I see all of my mailboxes here. And when I click on a mailbox, I have a flyout section that opens up where I have some other email-specific configuration options, such as the size of the user's mailbox. Now my mailboxes have a limited size of almost 50 gigabytes, and this user is using about 10% of that. I see the last sign in of the users. I can also go and see the protocols and the apps that they have access to, and many of the other configuration options that are available here for this user. Again, those are email-centric aspects. If I have shared mailboxes here, by the way, you can also convert any mailbox to a shared mailbox, so that sometimes can be interesting as well. I have here my groups, which are all of my mail-enabled groups. So you notice that these standard security groups that don't have an email address, these are not listed over here. There's another type of distribution list here than the standard distribution list. There's two types. One has assigned membership and one has a dynamic, which means that here I would be adding members specifically to them. So I add specific users or groups to my list. And here the list is dynamically generated based on a query or filter. So for example, everyone that has the Department of Marketing set on their user options. Other options here, resources, is where I specify my actual objects that are managed as part of Exchange Online. A great example on that is a conference room or projector. Things that need to be booked that have a calendar and that users can add to their calendar. If I trickle down below here, right next here I have my mail flow, where I can do lots of very interesting things in order to configure the way that email messages flow through my users or through Microsoft 365. So one of the things you can do here, for example, is do a message trace where it actually sends you a report of all of the emails that were sent based on a criteria. So you start a trace and then you go ahead and create that trace to say, show me all the messages that were sent by these users over the last 5 days. For example, that will not give you the actual messages, but it will show you the message envelopes, which means all the parameters of the message, who sent it to whom and at what time. So you can actually use this mechanism to be able to trace back messages. And if there is an error in delivery, for example, the message not go out, you would see where it was blocked along the route. I have here also my accepted domains. Now what's interesting about the accepted domains is that they are automatically populated from the Microsoft 365 domains, and that's where they're actually managed from. So we added a domain for Microsoft.com in a previous video in this course, and the domain for Microsoft.com was not verified. Which means I could not prove that I own that domain, therefore it doesn't show up here. So only the verified domains are visible on this interface here, and those are the domains for which my organization can accept inbound emails. So any domain listed here would be a domain that my Microsoft 365 tenant would say, okay, this domain is for users inside of our recipient list, and then it would look for a recipient that matches that domain and then deliver the email to that recipient. Further down the list here I have reports where I can actually go a little bit further than the message trace that we were looking at before, where you can actually have various reports that are pre-canned in Microsoft 365 and use those reports to troubleshoot connectivity and troubleshoot the emails that go in and out of your organization. By the way, I have a report for your migration as well. If you're doing your migration, there's a migration report that becomes immediately available to you at the end of the migration. And using this tool here, you can go back and view older reports. Under Organization, I have the sharing settings for my organizations. These are relatively straightforward. Now one thing I want to demonstrate to you is this link here. Now this is a relatively new link. It's called Other Features. Now you may think that when you click on this link, you get to see some advanced features, but really this tells you where features have gone. If you have previous experience with Exchange On-Prem or Exchange Online, you're familiar with seeing certain features in an Exchange Admin Center. This Exchange Admin Center has been recently updated completely. It looks nothing like the older versions of the Admin Center, and if you have a lot of experience with those, you may be confused as to where the spam options go. For example, I don't see them anymore. Well, when I click on Other Features, it actually tells me where some other features have gone. For example, I see here that everything that's around spam filters has been moved to Microsoft 365 Defender. And actually there's a link here to the security portal, the Microsoft 365 Defender portal, where I can go and modify and manage all of my spam settings. So even though this relates to email, these settings have been moved and added to the security buckets as well. There are some settings here for retention. Which retention has been an email setting for quite some time, but this is going to be moving to the Compliance Center. And so some of these settings have not yet been migrated, some have been migrated, and you want to know where they've been migrated to or where they're going to be migrated. So for example, here it shows me that I have an option here for OWA policy. OWA is Outlook Web Access. So essentially users that use the web to access their mailbox. So it has a policy setting. That policy setting can be configured only in the old Exchange Admin Center. It is not yet migrated. It will be migrated to the new Exchange Admin Center, and to access the old Exchange Admin Center I would have to click on this link over here. And by the way, this is the same link that is available here. It's here. I call it the old Exchange Admin Center because that's what I'm familiar with, but Microsoft calls it a classic Exchange Admin Center. And that's where some of the settings that say yet to be migrated are still found. So this page is very useful in order to find settings that, if you have any experience with Exchange Online, a key component of Microsoft 365. I urge you to be as familiar as possible with Exchange Online, since if email is down, your users will be quite unhappy.